Please stay with us for our next news as well. Russian Foreign Minister Sergey Lavrov has arrived in China to take part in a meeting of the Council of the Ministers of Foreign Affairs of the SCO member states. Russia's top diplomat flew in from North Korea, where he stayed on a 3-day working visit in the coastal city of Wonsan. Before that, he took part in ASEAN events in Kuala Lumpur on July 10th to 11th. According to local media, Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova announced earlier that a meeting of the Council of the Ministers of Foreign Affairs of the SCO member states will be held in Tianjin on July 14th to 15th. The foreign ministers' meeting will mark a key stage in preparing for a SCO summit to be held in Tianjin on August 30th to September 1st. According to the diplomat, Lavrov is also scheduled to hold bilateral meetings on the sidelines of the event. As per Zakharova, the SCO foreign ministers plan to discuss the current situation and prospects of the developments of SCO activity. They will focus on pressing international and regional issues, including around the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II and the 80th anniversary of the United Nations. Now we go back to our guest discussion with Andrew K.P. Long. He's a China strategist joining us live from London. Thank you, Andrew, for staying with us. Now, what does Lavrov's back-to-back diplomacy with North Korea, with ASEAN, and now with China say about Russia's broader strategy within Asia?
I've talked about the Asian Pacific theater and the Ukraine theater just now. So I would like to concentrate on the rest of the world, particularly Central Asia, and also the reference to the end of the Second World War and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Now, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, of course, is the largest multi-dimensional cooperation pact with the Central Asian countries in a position, a very strategic position in the transit between East Asia to Central Asia to Europe. And it's linked with the China's Belt and Road Initiative. The China's Belt and Road Initiative, of course, contains both pipelines as well as freight trains that link China's, the world's largest manufacturing powerhouse and the largest trading nation to Europe. And of course, because of the war in Ukraine, the so-called the middle corridor passing through the areas near Azerbaijan and the Caspian Sea, and through Turkey to Europe becomes even more important because the whole world supply and value chain has been upended by Trump's tariffs and other sanctions and other measures. So I think that the Central Asia, of course, of vital importance to Russia. Russia is putting a lot of emphasis on the kind of Central European and Russian economy. Even though Russia's economy is nothing compared with China. In fact, the whole of the Russian economy is equivalent to the single GDP of a single province in Guangdong, for example. But nevertheless, Russia is a very powerful military nation. It is armed to the teeth with nuclear weapons, multiple times more than China, and even slightly exceeded the nuclear stockpile compared with the United States. And it's got a lot of high-end technology. Now, as far as the cooperation of the Central Asian economies are concerned, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, these are actually very rich countries in terms of resources, but they lack the infrastructural connectivity to export their minerals, their products around the world. And that is supplied by China's Belt and Road Initiative and the cooperation through the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So I think it benefits that. And then, of course, the by empowering these Central European countries, it will consolidate the economic integration in Central and Europe and also in Central Asia, consolidating Russia's influence. And through the involvement of the Belt and Road Initiative, of course, it benefits, it gives China a counterweight against Western aggression or the Western containment. And after all, the world is pivoting towards away from this kind of black and white, either sort of fight to the death, rules of the jungle kind of game, because at the end of the day, no one gains, and there is no way that the United States can impose the rules of the jungle on the rest of the world, including allies, and hoping that will bring prosperity to the United States, because the whole world is now interconnected. All the supply and value chain are highly integrated, and the idea of decoupling from China entirely, it is a pipe dream. You can decouple in some sectors, but you can't, because the China is embedded in the whole world supply and value chain, even though for a lot of products not marked made in China. China is embedded in terms of energy, in terms of components, in terms of parts, and in terms of logistics, because the world's top 7 container ports in the world, out of the top 11 are located in China. So, and then of course the whole world is now facing a lot of common threats. The climate, you can see the heat wave threatening Europe, and now you can see even acts of terrorism, and of course green energy cars, and when the world reaches a tipping point on climate, it's too late to turn the clock back. So I think that there is and also common challenges of development, poverty relief, water scarcity. So all these calls for a greater cooperation. And that era of cooperation, particularly important after the end of the Second World War. And that's why the celebration of the Second World War, end of the Second World War, with the cooperation of a number of countries across the ideological divide, including Russia, America, and Europe, is very important. That's why I celebrated that.
Thank you, Andrew, for joining us today and sharing your insight throughout our news. Now we move on to our next news.